Every chance we get, we profess our love for KTM's 1290 Super Duke car, most 2014 motorcycle of the year. Aggressive styling matched with a monstrous engine, sophisticated electronics, sport bike-like handling, and reasonable comfort all combined to win our hearts that year. For 2016, KTM is adding to its impressive lineup with the SDR's cousin, the 1290 Superduke GT. Aimed for those wanting a Super Duke car but with all-day comfort and some storage space in the form of saddlebags, the SDGT inspires big hopes in us. In fact, EIC Kevin Duke will be putting it through its paces at the bike's launch in Spain during the beginning of March. In advance of Kevin providing riding impressions of the bike in his first ride review, I've compiled 10 fun facts about the Superduke GT I learned during a recent visit to KTM headquarters in Mattifen, Austria. Lead designer for all KTM motorcycles, Craig Dent, pictured here, considers the Superduke car and Superduke GT as his pet projects. Restrictions and regulations placed on road-going motorcycles are challenges not encountered when designing KTM's dirt bikes. When it came time to put pen to paper and sketch up his vision for the SDR and SDGT, the London native now living in Austria says quite candidly, "We didn't consult with focus groups. Instead, direction for the two models came from a gut feeling centered on aggressiveness and lightness. The latter has less to do with physical weight, though that's important, too, and more to do with appearing visually uncluttered." While designing the Superduke GT, Dent says he and his team forced themselves to seek inspiration from any aspect of life outside of motorcycles, no matter how foreign it might have seemed. Comfort and complacency are the enemy, says Dent, when it comes to product design, especially as it relates to KTM's core value of ready to race. So, what's an example of this outside-the-box thinking? The texture of this panel, for instance, was inspired by the shoulder strap of a rucksack. In staying with Dent's theme of aggressiveness and lightness, those two guidelines often mean neither form nor function gets the upper hand. Instead, the two are one and the same. Dent uses the front fairing stay for the Superduke GT as an example. He's seen other motorcycles use a metal frame structure to support the front fairing and gauges, which would then be hidden or covered by the rest of the motorcycle's bodywork. Not so with the Superduke GT. From the onset, the fairing stay was designed to be sturdy enough to support the headlight, gauges, windscreen, etc., while also being able to withstand side wind gusts. That said, its physical shape isn't sacrificed to meet these goals, its angularity blending with the rest of the design. We all know any touring bike even remotely based on a standard model will likely have to have its subframe beefed up in order to support the added weight of the passenger and luggage. The Superduke GT is no different. However, an advantage Dent and his team at Kisco have is access to KTM engineers within the building. Consequently, Dent and his team are able to produce rapid prototypes all in-house, speeding up the trial and error process in the event a prototype needs adjusting once placed on the full-size clay model. For instance, only 3 iterations of subframe were required for the Superduke GT before it was finalized for production. Inertial measurement units are all the rage these days in motorcycle safety, and the Superduke GT will come equipped with a Bosch 5-axis unit seen on a couple other KTM models, as well as those seen on other makes. What you may not have realized is the physical size of the EMU. I personally take for granted the physical size of motorcycle components like an EMU, so it's remarkable that this potentially life-saving device is about 1/3 the physical size as my Samsung Galaxy S5 smartphone. Like EMUs, semi-active suspension isn't a new technology either, not even for KTM as it was used on the 1290 Super Adventure, but now it's a technology that will see its way onto the superduke GT. KTM's sister company, WP Suspension, has been working on its semi-active suspension technology since 2007, having introduced its third-generation units in 2010. Interestingly, WP only started on-road testing of its semi-active suspension tech in September of 2011, taking more than 3 years before deeming it ready for production on the Super Adventure.